Our next group that we have specializes in bluegrass music. They will soon be appearing at Arnold's and also at the Stone Valley Bluegrass Festival. Wait till you hear they perform such classics as the Columbus Stockade Blues and the Foggy Mountain Breakdown. They're known as the Walker Street Band, and we'd like you to meet them.
Only say that you'll be mine. In our home we'll happy be. Down beside where the waters flow, on the banks of the Ohio.
The Walker Street Band is made up of Joe Brashear, vocals and bass, Wayne Clyburn, banjo, Mark Rader, guitar and vocals, and Bill Lowari, mandolin and vocals.
Wayne and Joe and myself all knew each other for quite a few years. We'd be jamming someplace off and on, and kind of playing for fun. And Joe met Mark, who happened to be a real good singer and guitar player, and that's something we hadn't had. So he decided that he'd ask Mark if he wanted to form a band, and Mark said yeah, and so we all got together and tried it out one night. It sounded pretty good to us.
Well, I grew up in eastern Kentucky and have heard bluegrass music all my life. I never really participated until, well, actually with a band until this band. Went through a phase of rock and roll music in the late 50s and 60s and sang with a band then. And then in college got interested in bluegrass again. I picked up some records and began to listen. And then came back to Lexington, and there's a group there, J.D. Crowe, and the Kentucky Mountain Boys at that time, playing at a little bar called Martin's. And I happened to just stumble in there one evening, and that was kind of when I was finally converted, I guess you might say.
Well, I started first through my parents. All my uncles and my dad and my mother and everybody played music, and they all sang together around the house. And they played the old-time music, but whenever I started playing, rock and roll was the main thing I played then. Then after I got out of high school, I went to my first bluegrass festival, and when I saw that the musicians were getting the kind of sounds that I liked out of instruments that were not electrified, because whatever they was doing was what they were really doing. Nothing was making them sound any better than what they really were. And that's when I first got into it. I went right home and traded off my electric instruments for acoustic instruments.
Well, when I was in school, one of the students there, some woman came up to me and said, I want you to hear this band up at a place called the Ken Mill. I said, where's the Ken Mill? She said, it's up on Kenton and McMillan. I said, oh, wow, well, okay. So I went up there, and there was Jim McCall and Walter Hensley and Earl Taylor and some of the local bluegrass people around. And the first time I'd heard it live, I just immediately kind of fell in love with it. It was the most exciting music I'd ever heard.
I think my first recollection of hearing any kind of bluegrass was probably when I was about 10 years old. And I remember my father used to like to watch the Beverly Hillbillies. And at that time, I didn't particularly care for it. And there was another show that was on TV immediately after the Beverly Hillbillies. And I can remember always coming in to watch the next show and hearing the theme song that they played at the end of Beverly Hillbillies. And the announcer would always come on and cover up the music. And I can remember kind of unconsciously being frustrated because I couldn't hear the music that was being played, but never really thought too much about it. And then a few years later, I remember saying something to a friend of mine who worked for a vending machine company that serviced a lot of bars and clubs around the Cincinnati area. And I told him that I remembered hearing some people play banjo on TV, and I thought I'd like that. And he told me about a bar that he used to go to service the vending machines, and he said there was a really good country and western group there. And So for about 6 months, I tried to get him to take me down to this place to show me where it was. And finally, one summer, he came around and took me down there. And it was the Ken Mill, the same bar that Bill mentioned that he had heard Jim McCall and Walter Hensley. The group that I heard was a couple years later, and it was still Jim McCall and Earl Taylor, and I believe it was Junior McIntyre was playing the banjo. And I went in there and heard the banjo, and it just completely blew my mind. I'd never heard anything quite like that.
Each one of us has brought different things into this. We've all got a little different interest in the different types of bluegrass, and each person will hear a song or a song that they like and bring it in, and eventually we'll all learn it off of that one person or a record, and finally we pick up on it and we start playing it.
So I went to a pawn shop in downtown Cincinnati and bought a banjo for about $40 and went home and tried to learn. And it's been pretty much an uphill battle all the way, but I really enjoy it now.
It's funny how sometimes you can be waiting to go on, and you know you got to go out there and do it, but you're really not up for it. You just don't feel like you're into it. And as soon as you walk on, you start feeling that excitement, that, if you want to call it, I guess electricity is the best cliche I can think of. When the audience is really into it, it just really turns the band on. You're going to do the best you can do. As a matter of fact, you have to be careful you don't get too excited. You have to remember to keep the music on the time and so on. But the audience is just everything, especially to a bluegrass band. When you really think about it, relative to other kinds of music, a bluegrass band really doesn't make that much noise because of the acoustic instruments. And, you really, it's more of a little bit more of a personal feel with the audience, I think. It's if you want to call it natural, I think it is. And it's a kind of music that, once the audience starts feeling it with you, it really gets in your blood. You just really, it's exciting, really exciting.
We'll be playing at Arnold's Grill on 8th Street in Cincinnati, the 4th and 18th of August, at the Stone Valley Bluegrass Festival near Harrison, Indiana, the weekend of the 10th, 11th, and 12th of August. Then when is that show? We have a show for the Hamilton County Park District on September 15th. That'll be at the Miami Whitewater Forest.
We're really looking forward to playing at the Stone Valley Bluegrass Festival. It's right here in town, and it's probably going to be, I would imagine, the best bluegrass festival in this region. And there are some fine ones already, but especially since it's right here, right outside of Harrison, Ohio, and Indiana, rather. And Joe Stone's a good friend of ours, and he's having some great groups in. The Seldom Scene's going to be here, and J.D. Crow, and quite a few good local groups. And it's going to be a real hot festival. We're really looking forward to playing down there.
Only say that you'll be mine. In our home we'll happy be. Down beside where the waters flow, on the banks of the Ohio.
I'll go back to old Virginia, where the mountains reach the sky. In those hills I learned to love you. Let me stay there till I die.
you, thank you. We're the Walker Street Band, and we're going to be up here for a little bit playing a couple of bluegrass tunes for you and a couple of other tunes that we've bluegrassized, if you will. Over here on the banjo is Wayne, on the guitar is Mark, this is Joe behind me, and I'm Bill. And we'd like to do a thing that Flat Scruggs did, oh golly, I guess back in the middle 50s. One of the cabin songs, as we call them, and it's called Blue Ridge Cabin Home.
In those Blue Ridge hills far away. Oh, I love those hills of Virginia. In those Blue Ridge hills I did roam. When I die, won't you bear me on the mountain, far away in my Blue Ridge mountain home. Well, my thoughts wander back to that ramshackle town in those Blue Ridge hills so far away. My mother and dad, they were laid there to rest. They are sleeping in peace together there. Oh, I love those hills of old Virginia. In those Blue Ridge hills I did roam. When I die, won't you bear me on the mountain, far away in my Blue Ridge mountain home. I've returned to that old cabin home with a sigh. I've been longing for days gone by. When I die, won't you bear me on that old mountainside, make my resting place upon the hill so high. Oh, I love those hills of old Virginia. In those Blue Ridge hills I did roam. When I die, won't you bear me on the mountain, far away in my Blue Ridge mountain home.
Dennis, thank you very much. And we'd all, first of all, like to say happy birthday to WCET. I don't know about you all, but my TV's always on you. And some kind of programming. So congratulations on 25 years of doing it right. We'd like to do another tune here that a guy by the name of Merle Travis wrote a while back, and kind of feature Mark Rader, our lead singer and guitar player, on this one. He does a bit of Travis picking in a tune called the 9-Pound Hammer.
Well, a 9-pound hammer is a little too heavy for my size, honey, for my size. Roll on, buddy, don't you roll so slow. How can I roll when the wheels won't go? Roll on, buddy, pull a load of coal. Whoa, how can I pull when the wheels won't go? It's a long way to Harlan, it's a long way to Hazard, just stone. Out number 9 toll, out number 9 toll. Roll on, buddy, don't you roll so slow. How can I roll when the wheels don't go? Roll on, buddy, pull a load of coal. Whoa, how can I roll when the wheels don't go?
Woo-wee. Thank you. Thank you very much. Goodness, it's hot up here. Can I have a little more monitor on this mandolin mic over here, Rob, wherever you are? We probably need some more monitor all the way around, or a little more mic or something. It's a little tough to hear up here. Where are you anyway, Rob? I can't see anywhere. We're going to do a thing here that a fellow by the name of Jimmy Martin did, and if you know anything about bluegrass, you know all about Jimmy Martin. Guarantee you that. Jimmy Martin got together with one of the best banjo pickers around, a guy about 100 miles south of here named J.D. Crowe, and they did a thing called the Big Country, which is mandolin banjo instrumental, and we'd like to do it for you right now.